What's up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 7 of the Flying Knee KO podcast. My name is Victor Vasquez. It has been a crazy past week in the UFC. They actually had 3 fight nights in a 7-day span. It all started with UFC 251. We ended up covering a lot of that during episode 6. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure to tune into that episode. I ended up talking a lot about Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. Ended up talking about the main event, Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman, as well as Thug Rose and her victory over Jessica Andrade in their rematch. But in today's episode, what we're going to be covering is the majority of the fight night that just happened this past Saturday, in which Deiveson Figuierado took on Joseph Benavidez, a rematch for the Flyweight Championship, and what a main event it was. To me, a great main card overall. What a really great main card really consists of is just a lot of great finishes, a lot of action-packed fights, and I thought this main card had a lot of that. You know, there was a lot of names that, a lot of casual fans might not recognize, but great night of fights, a lot of action. I enjoyed myself watching them. So let's go ahead and jump into the first segment, where we kind of pull something out from last Saturday's fights that we consider to be the hot news. And this segment is called...
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why'd you take your pants off?
My balls was hot.
I understand.
Derek Lewis mentioning that his balls were hot. So let's go ahead and discuss some of the hot news that I really want to go over. And that is, the main event. Deiveson Figuierado took on Joseph Benavidez in a rematch. And my goodness, this man is your new UFC Flyweight Champion. It's unbelievable. His dominant performance. What a way to win your first championship in the UFC than by just knocking out one of the veterans in the flyweight division, a guy that all fans love, Joseph Benavidez. I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for him. I was hoping, this has to be his one chance. Is this gonna be it for him? Is he finally gonna get his hands on the gold? But no, Deiveson Figuierado shut all that down. Not only did he shut down all the haters, he shut down all the people that criticized him for missing weight the first time he fought Joseph Benavidez, and all the people that criticized him for, potentially causing the headbutt in the first fight against Benavidez. If you guys didn't see, just a little quick recap, they ended up fighting early on in the year. Figueiredo ended up missing weight, so even if he won the fight, he wasn't going to win the title. So now it's all up to Joseph Benavidez, and during the second round, there was an accidental headbutt, and it ended up cutting up Joseph Benavidez. Blood was legit squirting out of Benavidez's head, and Deiveson Figueiredo went in for the kill with a right hand that just completely shut the lights of Benavidez, and Deiveson Figueiredo got the victory. So what the UFC did was, all right, let's book a rematch, another one, and they booked it for last Saturday's fight night. This was the main event, and Deiveson Figueiredo just showed how much he has improved over the last couple of months. What better way to top your first performance by knocking out a guy that many wanted to win the championship, than by knocking him out in the first round 3 different times and then choking him unconscious. All of that in the first round. Unbelievable performance. It was just complete domination by Figueiredo as soon as the bell rang. And you could just see the power difference between Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez. It's insane how this 125-pounder in Figueiredo, just his ability in his right hand, and not only his right, but his left, it just catches these fighters off guard, and he just completely rocked Joseph Benavidez multiple times. It was brutal to watch. The right hand was just finding its mark on Benavidez's chin, and there was nothing that Joseph could do, to stop that firepower that was coming at him. Now don't get me wrong. I know that I'm saying that it's a complete domination by Figueiredo, but you gotta give Benavidez the credit for just being a survivor, man. For just, again, there was multiple times where as soon as the first knockdown occurred, he could have easily just stayed on the ground, but he found a way to escape various rear naked chokes. He found a way back to his feet, and now you can see, okay, well, he got rocked, but now it's time. Now it's survival mode for Benavidez. Can he make it through this first round, kind of recuperate, get some of his energy back, get some more wind under him, and then get ready for the second round? But there was no stopping Deiveson Figueiredo. He finally got that arm under the chin after he had knocked Benavidez down multiple times, and it was just a scary sight, man. It was just You could see in Benavidez' eyes, he was trying to do all he could. I guess just to kind of give you a little bit additional detail, Figueiredo ended up knocking him down for the third time. Finally went in for the ground and pound. Benavidez ended up giving up his back, and that's where Figueiredo started to sink in the arm to try to get the rear naked choke. And then he finally got that, I believe it was the right arm under the chin of Benavidez, and you could just see Benavidez with all of his might just trying to fight the hands of Deiveson. And he just couldn't do it. He ran out of time, and he ended up getting slept. And what made that so scary, too, is because of the fact that the camera was right on Benavidez, like right by the fence. And it just was so uncomfortable to kind of see him kind of go to sleep. You could see his eyes kind of starting to roll back. The referee stepped in, stopped the fight. Good news that he did regain consciousness shortly after he got slept. But again, a lot of MMA fans probably feel for him right now. I certainly do, because I really did want him to succeed and reach his goal of becoming a champion. But that is not going to happen now, because the reign of Figueiredo has begun. And I'm just curious to see who's going to challenge him at this level now. Who's going to challenge him with that type of power, those bombs that he's throwing in that flyweight division. That's the one thing I'm very looking forward to. And I'm actually very happy, because now the flyweight division's got a little bit more traction. And hopefully can garner more attention and get more fans to watch this champion. The champion that in a 125-pound division has knockout power that you're used to seeing in the featherweight or flyweight or welterweight division. So again, this is all good news for the UFC, as they now have a champion that hopefully can be a little bit more marketable. The man out of Brazil, Deiveson Figueiredo, his nickname God of War. Just an incredible performance. So let's hope that fans get more interested in the flyweight division now that they have a new champion. Also want to give a quick shout out to Calvin Kattar, who ended up getting the unanimous decision victory over Dan Ige last Wednesday. Again, that was the second fight night of the 3 in total between a 7-day span. Calvin Kattar, again, just improving his skills, man. He just took over that, after the second round, he just completely dominated Dan Ige. Ige just couldn't come up with the right solution to kind of combat what the offense that Kattar was giving him. Now with this victory, Kattar is for sure a top 5 contender, and a top 5 contender is who he's going to have to fight next, and I am totally down to know what his next possible matchup is going to be. I mean, it's going to be every single matchup could be a possible barn burner. He could take on Yair Rodriguez. He could take on, the Korean Zombie. He could take on Brian T. City. He could even take on Max Holloway. Holloway, as you know, just lost for the second time against Alexander Volkanovski. So, he's probably going to be looking to get another tough matchup. And, Calvin Kattar is no easy fight for any fighter in that featherweight division. So, I'm down for any of those fights. We can even put Magomed Sharipov, who actually beat Calvin Kattar. It was actually a 3-round fight. Calvin Kattar, after that defeat against Zabit, ended up mentioning that if it was a 5-round fight, he could have started getting a little bit more gas under him and started come back in that fight. Obviously, every fighter is going to say that if they lose in a 3-round fight, but I'm totally interested to see what is next for Calvin Kattar. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Deiveson Figueiredo, who is the new flyweight champion. All right, guys, that was the hot news that I wanted to cover for the fights from this past week. But now I want to focus on the best fight of those 2 fight nights that we didn't cover last week in the segment that I like to call...
Let me bang, man. I want to do that, man. I do.
Let Me Bang Bros segment is me picking a fight that I really enjoyed over the past week. So I'm going to be picking a fight either from the Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige fight night, or the Deiveson Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez fight night. And I'm actually going with Alexander Pantoja versus Askar Askarov. And this one happened this past Saturday in the Benavidez versus Figueiredo fight night. It was a flyweight contest, and oh my goodness, such high-level matchups between these 2 flyweights. They showed off some great scrambles, great grappling sequences, and it was just beautiful to watch. Pantoja just wasted no time in the first round. He immediately goes into attack mode, started stepping in with the straight right, ended up clinching with Askarov, and in less than 30 seconds, he already had a guillotine attempt. He ended up wrapping, his hooks around the body of Askarov, was trying to hold on, But as soon as that first minute of the round ended, Pantoja already had 3 different submission attempts. He had a triangle, he had an armbar, and he had a guillotine attempt. And Askarov was able to defend all 3 of them. So credit to Askarov for the great submission defense. And he just forced that fight to the ground. The second round was even more even. Just the quick pace, the scrambling between the two was just, it was unbelievable to watch. I mean, Askarov attempted to take down Pantoja 4 or 5 different times. He was able to bring him down, but with not much success. He didn't have to land that much shots, not much ground and pound. So again, great takedown defense and scrambling by Pantoja allowed him to get back up to his feet and then just kind of get back at Askarov. He actually attempted to get another rear naked choke, but it was unsuccessful. And then on the feet, both fighters ended up landing a very even amount of effective strikes. You could kind of give it to Askarov as he was the more busy fighter trying to get takedown after takedown. And then the third round came, and it was completely different for the first 2 rounds. Compared to the action of, big grappling and trying to scramble, that third round was all strikes. It was just all on the feet. Neither guy tried to attempt, that much of takedown. They knew that, okay, whoever's going to win this final round is probably going to win the fight. And Askarov, oh my goodness, his lead jab just started working for him so precisely. He ended up landing 10 sweet lead jabs that touched up the face of Pantoja. And it opened up the straight right for Askarov as well. Now, don't get me wrong, Pantoja ended up knocking down Askarov, but Askarov quickly got up to his senses, got up, and he just outpaced Pantoja again. You could see visibly that Pantoja's gas tank was just running out. All of his shots didn't have much in them anymore. But it was, again, very close fight as soon as the bell rang at the end of that third round. But it ended up going towards Askarov, who got the unanimous decision. Ended up being, I think, 29-28 on the scorecards. But, I mean, what a great match between these two men. Again, there probably was, other fights that, I think a close second was Fiziev versus Deiveson that we'll probably discuss a little bit later. Those were 2 lightweights. But to me, this one was just very highly contested, very close, but I really enjoyed their grappling on the floor, the different types of takedowns and the different types of submission attempts that we got to see between these 2 guys. And we got to see a new flyweight contender in Askar Askarov, who now has 12 wins and only 1 draw, no losses. So I'm pretty sure that when the rankings come out, he will be ranked in the top 5. Before Saturday's fight, he was actually ranked number 7, and Pantoja was ranked number 4. So they could easily be switching spots. So you could see Askarov now with a number 4 next to his name. So it should be very interesting to see what the flyweight division has for Askarov. All right, guys. Well, that was the Let Me Bang Bro segment where I chose one of my favorite fights. Now I want to kind of jump into a specific fighter's performance and how maybe I might not have been surprised after I saw the result in the segment that I like to call...
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Nate Diaz is not surprised, and I am going to be honest, I was not surprised by Deiveson Figueiredo's performance in the flyweight main event last Saturday night. That's right. Even though I said it earlier, I was kind of rooting in my mind, in my heart, really. I wanted Joseph Benavidez to get a chance to just hold a UFC championship, but that didn't happen. But I knew that, okay, if Joseph Benavidez was going to find a way to victory, he was either going to have to just try to push it into a 5-round fight and just try to outstrike Deiveson Figueiredo, which is no easy task, and just try to, again, find a way to stall Deiveson Figueiredo and make it all the way to the 5th round, maybe gas him out some way. That did not happen. So I knew that, okay, if it doesn't end good for Joseph Benavidez, then how is Deiveson Figueiredo going to win? And to me, I thought that the same exact performance was going to happen as it did in the first fight, and it's precisely what ended up going down. Deiveson Figueiredo just completely dominating and showing off the power that he has in both of his hands. And all it took for Deiveson Figueiredo was 1 round to prove that why he was the better fighter over Benavidez. Again, he ended the fight with a rear naked choke. He knocked down Benavidez 3 separate times. And not only was it, just 1 rear naked choke, he had various rear naked choke attempts. Again, Benavidez did a really good job to try to escape those and fight the hands. But, there was no escape as Benavidez just could not get that last hand to come off of his chin. And he ended up getting slept. It all started with the right hook that just hit the temple clean of Benavidez, immediately drops him, And then Deiveson just went in for the kill. He landed a bit of ground and pound. He then transitioned to the back, attempted to end the night even quicker. But again, as I mentioned, Benavidez just found ways to fight the hands and escape. And again, you just see Benavidez just finding a way to his feet. You're hoping, okay, this can't be the same result, can it? Can it be the same result as the first fight? Benavidez has to know, okay, I can't get rocked by this guy. I got to either keep my distance and just maybe pick and pop and choose my opportunities to come in and strike, but it just didn't happen. And again, that's just that scary scene of seeing Joseph Benavidez fight for his life and then just get slapped. So now that leaves Deiveson Figuierado as the new flyweight champion. And he made this one look even easier. No headbutts, no missed weight, just a flyweight champion to represent the UFC. And now Deiveson Figuierado, 19-1 in his career. And that is just one scary flyweight. Man. The good thing is, like I mentioned, more attention should be given to this flyweight division. So hopefully Deiveson Figuierado can start headlining some different fight nights, maybe even be a part of a co-main event or even a main event of a pay-per-view. You just need to garner a little bit more attention, and hopefully there could be another contender that can step up in order to provide that type of excitement against Deiveson Figuierado. So we'll be talking about who's next for Deiveson Figuierado in a later segment. But the next segment that I want to talk about today is in regards to a fighter that maybe we were surprised by. Maybe we weren't expecting that type of performance. And that segment is called...
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
Who the F is that guy or girl? Could be male or female fighter. But in this specific one, it is going to be a male fighter that I saw in the main card of the Figueiredo versus Benavidez fight night this past Saturday. And it ended up being Rafael Fiziev. This man, oh my goodness. If you guys have a chance to watch that fight, he ended up fighting Mark DeCasey. Just a lightweight matchup in that division. Two guys that are making their way up the rankings in the lightweight division. And my goodness, Rafael Fiziev, the man was in the matrix as he faced off against a very dangerous Mark DeCasey. The first round was just dominant for Fiziev. I'm going to reiterate it. I'm going to sound like a broken record. If you guys have a chance, please watch that fight because and have the volume turned up because there are some nasty leg kicks that are landed to the body of DeCasey by Fiziev, and Fiziev just cracked him 4 times, and every kick sounds harder than the last one. And you could just feel the pain every time he cracked him. His kicks were just so beautiful, so quick. The timing was unreal. It was just crazy to watch. But not only were the body kicks just landing, Fiziev mixed it up very well. I mean, he landed some check hooks, body kicks, knees. It was just a great first round for Rafael Fiziev. The second round, DeCasey found his range a bit. He found a few shots, countered really well. He ended up landing a nice little straight right off the leg of Fiziev. Rafael just showed off his flexibility by pulling off. He pulled off a matrix where he basically bent backwards. He dodged a head kick, and as soon as his torso came back, he was nice upright, returned him with a nice little calf kick, all in one motion. It was crazy to see. I'd never seen somebody kind of dodge a head kick, then come back upright and immediately throw a kick. It's just the balance that he had was unbelievable. He threw a nice little right hook that missed the mark. And then from that right hook, he just went into a spinning back fist that landed. It was some crazy talent that this guy showed off. And what better way to show off than on the main card of a fight night like that. Third round came around, and at this point, Mark DeCasey knew that he needed to either get a KO or a submission to win the match. He knew that, it had to take something to get a finish over Fiziev to even get a victory. He ended up landing some crisp right hands that seemed to rock Fiziev a bit, but it wasn't enough. Fiziev showed that just beautiful head movement, evaded a bunch of significant strikes, and then Fiziev, as you can see, as the fight ended up coming to a close, he ended up landing a total of 34 body strikes, all vicious, all painful. And I do not wish I was Mark DeCasey in that position, because those body kicks just sounded so damn disgusting. But yeah, the combination of strikes was just incredible, and Rafael ended up getting back-to-back victories with the unanimous decision. And he just put every lightweight on notice with that performance. So that is the guy that I wanted to highlight in this Who the F is That Guy segment Rafael Fiziev from the lightweight division. All right, guys. Well, that was the fourth segment. Who the F is that guy? Now we move on to the final segment of the Flying Knee KO podcast, where we try to predict who are these winning fighters going to fight next. I try not to predict, if they're going to win or not, because I'm always wrong. And I'm pretty sure I'm wrong in this segment as well, but it's just fun to determine who's really next. Who do you want to see these fighters fight? In the segment that I like to call...
So I said I'd knock him out in the fourth round, and I knocked him out in the fourth round. You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Mystic Mac coming in for the final segment. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump in, and I'm just going to choose the main card winners. All right, let's start off with Askar Askarov. He ended up, again, fighting Alexander Pantoja. To me, that was really fight of the night. I think the UFC ended up giving it to Rafael Fiziev and Mark DeCasey. But again, it was all striking. But I really enjoyed Askarov versus Pantoja because it was just high-level scrambling, grappling. It was just really a highly contested matchup. So, to me, Askarov, I want to see him fight one more contender before he gets a title shot. And to me, that matchup would be against Alex Perez. Alex Perez earlier this year ended up getting a sweet leg kick TKO, a rare leg kick TKO over Jussier Formiga again. So I would love to see those two guys match up, and that to me could be considered a number one contender fight. So whoever wins between Askarov and Perez should get the next shot against Deiveson Figuierado. Now again, if he is the champion, unless they give him somebody else. But I would love to see this as a number one contender for the flyweight title. All right, guys, let's move on. We're going to focus in on Ariane Lipski, the queen of violence from the flyweight division. Ended up getting the finish over Luana Carolina. And my goodness, she lived up to her nickname, as in the first round, she got a finish via a knee bar. And that was one of those nasty moments where sometimes you're as a fan, you kind of turn away. You're like, gosh, I did not want to see that type of a finish, because she ended up twisting her knee, in the direction that you're not supposed to twist the knee. But let's go ahead and break it down. I mean, Lipski started off very aggressive, landing a nice little right hand that dropped Carolina. It actually ended up landing in a body shot, but Lipski just caught her perfectly while Carolina was throwing a leg kick. So she must have just lost balance. But Lipski stayed on top position, trying to land some ground and pound, get a finish. But Carolina just got into a really good position and ended up getting the heel hook in on Lipski. And so what Lipski ended up doing was sitting on the chest of Carolina, exposing her back, which is a little bit dangerous, but she just didn't want to get finished by a heel hook. And then it seemed like Carolina was transitioning from a heel hook to a calf slicer. And then Lipski smartly got a hold of the left knee of Carolina, pulled the knee towards the direction it should not go. And then you could just hear the scream in Carolina as she was forced to tap, and she just screamed in agony, holding her knee. And that ended up being a great finish. It was actually the second fastest submission finish in flyweight history, women's flyweight history to be exact, and the second knee bar finish in 2020. So props to Ariane Lipski, the queen of violence, for that. Such a great performance, and probably the finish of the night for me. Again, seeing that knee twist the opposite way was not cool to watch, but again, you cannot discredit Ariane Lipski. I mean, she is in there to kill and just get victories. So good to see her get a victory in the flyweight division. To me, I would like to see her face off against somebody still outside of the top 15 in the flyweight division. Maybe somebody like Sabina Mazo or Talia Santos. Both of those ladies got victories in 2020, so it'd be good to see some of those challenges against the queen of violence. All right, moving on. We're going to discuss the co-main event winner, Jack Hermansson, who took on Kelvin Gastelum, and the Joker got the last laugh as he ended up getting the heel hook finish in the first round. It was so damn quick. I was very surprised the fight ended that fast. I'm pretty sure Gastelum was very disappointed that it didn't go the distance. But yeah, Hermansson immediately clinched up with Gastelum. He tried to take him down, but instead Kelvin reverses the takedown. Ended up getting the Joker to land on his head. Gastelum ended up having top position. But Jack was just calm and cool, and he just collected himself while he was on his back, and he tried to get a heel hook. And that was actually the first attempt, and Kelvin did a really good job to escape that first attempt. But then Jack did not relent. He ended up locking in that heel of Gastelum, and he just did not let go. Kelvin was forced to tap with just 1 minute and 18 seconds passed on the clock in that first round. And that is now the Joker's 10th first round finish of his career. And he is looking to take on the winner of Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. And I'm all for it. I want to see that. Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till will be fighting this Saturday, July 25th. And to me, the winner of Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till should fight Jack Hermansson. And from that fight, that should be the number one contender to see who is going to be facing off against the middleweight champion, whether it's Adesanya or if Paulo Costa comes out on top over Adesanya. So, I'd love to see that matchup. So I'm very intrigued to see who will come out victorious between Robert Whittaker and Darren Till in order to face off against Jack Hermansson. All right, guys, last fighter we're going to focus on is Deiveson Figuierado, the champion, the new Flyweight champion. Again, I've already mentioned it in the two previous segments. I was not surprised by Figueiredo's performance, and he just came out looking unbelievably tough and just dominant over Benavidez. So it's going to be very interesting to see who the UFC matches him up next against in that flyweight division. But I do want to see him challenged. So I can see that the next matchup could be number 3 ranked Brandon Moreno. He currently on a 2-fight win streak. He beat Jussier Formiga in his last matchup. And again, he doesn't have that much of a KO power. His wins come via submission. He actually has 10 wins via submission in his career. So it could be a different type of challenge for Deiveson Figueiredo. But now it's going to have to be, for the challenger, and Brandon Moreno has to figure out, how am I going to stay away from that right hand of Deiveson Figueiredo? Because now you've seen that he's knocked out Joseph Benavidez in back-to-back matchups. So now you know it coming into a game plan. All right, I got to stay away from that right hand, figure out a way to just get into the ground. But Figueiredo's no joke on the ground as well. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He ended up choking out Joseph Benavidez. So I'd be very interested to see if that fight between Moreno and Figueiredo goes to the ground to see who has the better grappling. All right, guys, that's really all I wanted to talk about in regards to UFC Fight Night, Deiveson Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez. We covered a lot of different stuff. Again, wanted to mention, if you guys are free this Saturday, July 25th, make sure to check out UFC Fight Night, Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. What a middleweight matchup that is going to be. Robert Whittaker coming off, this is his first matchup coming off his loss against Israel Adesanya, so it should be interesting to see how he has improved, what has he changed. And for Darren Till, he's coming off of his victory against Kelvin Gastelum. That was his debut in the middleweight division. And he's already pitted against a former middleweight champion. So I'm just loving this main event. I cannot wait. I think it has a start time of 2 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. But, oh, man, it's going to be an incredible matchup. I can't wait for this Saturday. So if you guys are free, make sure to check it out. If you haven't listened to any of the previous podcasts, guys, make sure to go check out episode 6. Again, I delve into more detail in regards to UFC 251, which was headlined by Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal, as well as other fights on that main card. Appreciate everybody listening. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you guys stay safe, be nice to each other, and be on the lookout for episode 8 of the Flying Knee KO podcast next week. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week.